Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you for joining us in tonight's open dialogue. Tonight's discussion will inshallah be about the sixth holy Imam of the representative of the Holy Messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam's sixth grandson in his lineage, named Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salam. This holy Imam's martyrdom anniversary is commemorated on the 25th of Shawwal, which is today. We will try and learn some key aspects of his life and reflect upon his life, the turmoils and the challenges that he faced, and how he was able to connect his followers to the previous Imams as well as the coming Imams, especially the Imam of our age, Imam Sahibul Asri wa Zaman. To discuss key aspects of his life, we are joined today by the guest of the week. We have with us Sister Khadijah Shirazi. Sister Khadijah holds a master's in psychology and she also studied at the Hawza in the Islamic Seminary of Qom. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Sister Khadijah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight and accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much for your invitation.
Thank you. We are also joined by Syed Mohammad Razavi, who is a Minister of Religion. He is also the head of the Religious Advisory Board at the Shia Islamic Education Society in London, where he deals with family matters in accordance to the Islamic teachings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Syed.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for hosting and condolences on Shahadat of Imam Ja'far Sadiq.
Yes, condolences to all the believing men and women across the world on this sorrowful martyrdom anniversary of the Holy Imam, who was martyred in a very oppressed state. But we will discuss more about his life. Sister Khadija, I'm just intrigued to know what inspired you to attend the Hawza education and the Islamic Seminary of Qom. And also, if you can connect your answer to key aspects from this holy Imam's life that we can expand on during the program.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, initially the first time that I thought of going to the Hawza Ilmiya was when I first read the biography of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and that inspired me as to what an individual we have in our belief, and that in order to gain more closeness to his words and to his teachings, I can acquire this through attending Hawza Ilmiya. And therefore I started my path in this journey of Hawza Ilmiya.
MashaAllah, that's really inspiring. Of course, Syed, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq is not only just inspiring Muslims across the world today to seek more religious education, but he was an inspirational figure at his time in regards to education and disseminating the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. What are your thoughts regarding this, Syed Muhammad Radawi?
Yes, Imam Ja'far Sadiq certainly he is the source of knowledge, not only for the Shia Muslim but entire Muslim world, and he followed this path. First of all, from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, but they did not have the opportunity that Imam Ja'far Sadiq had, and it was the period of time that Imam Ja'far Sadiq continued the path of his father, Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam. Imam Muhammad Baqir is known Baqir because he was the one who opened the door of knowledge and awareness for the Muslims. And then Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, by the time he became the Imam, he had hundreds or maybe thousands of students in his class who used to attend and take part in his classes. And one of the good points that is known regarding Imam Muhammad Baqir and Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, both of them attracted even non-Muslim students towards their classes, and they did not have any restriction for them, and they welcomed the questions they used to ask. And in some cases, the students were rude, and where they used to become very offensive when they couldn't deal with the knowledge of Imam Muhammad Baqir and Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. They would insult them, and the students would become angry and would want to become aggressive towards these aggressive students or aggressive non-believer students. But imams, especially Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, used to discourage, and he used to say that the reason why they are aggressive is lack of their knowledge, and if we increase their knowledge and awareness, this aggressiveness would uh, calm down, and they would try to understand. And in many cases, Imam Jafar Sadiq was able to convert same aggressive students, non-believer students, into a believing student of his class.
Yes, he had very famous students, which I will come back to you, Syed, to tell us about. Sister Khadija, what are your views regarding the educational aspects that the Imam promoted during his lifetime? The debates he had, also the ideologies that were facing the Muslim Ummah at that time, and how the Imam combated those.
In fact, one thing that's very interesting is that the Imam did not only focus on one aspect or one type of science. He focused on philosophy, on economics, on family life, on like a huge, large, like a broad spectrum of different topics that the Imam actually addressed. And in terms of the ideology of those times, there was many conflicting views, especially towards theology and how they view God, where Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam rectified these conflicting views, and for this reason, we understand the right theology that we have right now.
Right, thank you. So, based on the theologies and the ideologies that he confronted, and he, like you said, he focused on many aspects. He did not just focus on theology; he focused on philosophy, and he had many students. I understand. I was reading and I was listening to lectures that he had around 4,000 students. Is that
Yes.
correct? So that's close to, would it be fair to say, Sister Khadija, that he started the first Hawza Ilmiya in the history of Islam?
In fact, he started the largest university that ever existed, and nowhere in history has anyone been able to accomplish such a deed. And in fact,
Right.
no one can.
Tell us more about some of his students that he had. We know that the Islamic school of thoughts. There are four main Islamic school of thoughts and the Jafari school of thought, and we are come to be known as the Jafari madhab. If I go to this question to Sayyid Muhammad Radawi, Sayyid, the Jafari school of thought is known by this Imam. That says a great deal about the work that this Imam has done.
Yes, and we are proud to be called Ja'fari because although, I mean, we believe that we are Shia Isna Ashari Muslims, and the Shias are followers of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. But how come the title Ja'fari is given to us, and we are more known as a sect as Ja'fari? is due to the knowledge that was given to the rest of the world from the Ja'fari source. And Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam defined the Ja'fari faith properly, and introduced the misunderstandings. I mean, he tried to eliminate the misunderstandings that existed between the Muslim community and non-Muslim community because of the problems and difficulties that Imam Ali, then Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain, Imam Zain al-Abidin, Imam Muhammad Baqir had faced. Imam Jafar Sadiq had a great responsibility on his shoulders to put everything in the right direction, and he did it in a way that all the Muslim sects, he became the father of all Muslim sects, directly or indirectly. Imam Jafar Sadiq was the leader of Ja'fari sect, and then at the same time he was the teacher of Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, and Hanafi schools of thought, because their teachers and their imams, two of them directly and other two indirectly, were students of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. So Imam Jafar Sadiq truly deserves to be called the father of Muslim nation and
Yeah.
Muslim sects altogether.
Can I just clarify? Are you saying that before his time, the Maliki, Hanafi, Hanbali, and Shafi'i sects did not exist? They came in existence around the time of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam,
Yes, after Imam Jafar Sadiq,
and he
they were
was
all
the they were
students,
his.
and yeah.
So why then, why did not everybody follow the teachings of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq, Sister Khadijah, and these sects were broken off from their teacher? Why did these students break off and form different sects and not follow the teachings completely of their teacher?
Some of the students, such as Abu Hanifa, he found his own view and his own way of looking at things, which the Imam was completely against, such as qiyas. And this is why there are certain traits in Ahl Sunnah that the Shia brothers and sisters do not accept, such as they believe that they will see Allah when they pass away and go to the hereafter. When we do not have this belief, or various more other beliefs. Um,
Can I just bring in the Syed here at this moment, whilst you recall the point that you are making? Syed, what is qiyas that the sister just mentioned for the viewers and for those of us who are not aware of this terminology? What is qiyas and what does it mean?
Literally, in a very layman's language, we can translate it to guess. I mean, they base their jurisprudence on guessing. For example, if you analyze the particles in human sweat, and you similarly analyze the particles in the urine of human, you would find exactly the same particles in both of them. So according to qiyas, principle of qiyas, either both should be declared as najis or both should be declared as tahir. in shia in Shia school of thought, this is not allowed. We are not allowed to guess and give ruling on the basis of guessing. For example, it's true that both liquids come out of human body, but it depends how and where they come out, and that makes the status of that liquid najis or clean. Human sweat is clean, and human urine is considered as najis and unclean. On the principle of qiyas, they should either be declared as clean, both, or both should be declared as najis. So it confuses the followers. Alhamdulillah, we as the followers of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, because we do not base our jurisprudence on qiyas, we are immune from this.
Okay, so it's following your own injunctions and your own reasoning. So where do we derive the followers of the Jafari school of thought and the Shia of Ahlebait alayhim salam? How do we derive our religious rulings, Sayyid?
Yeah, we base it on authentic narrations, verses of Holy Quran, and ijma' of ulama, and ijma' of ulama of the early stages, who again would only allow the ruling based on the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. To us, chain of narration is extremely important, and
Mhm.
we do not take any kind of hadith which does not lead us to authentic chain, and that is Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. So we, and again, the principle of qiyas is also derived and understood from the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam.
Thank you for the explanation, Sayyid. Sister Khadija, of course, the Imam had many debates with atheists and with, like the Sayyid explained, with Muslims and non-Muslims. Can you tell us any examples that are interesting that have caught your attention whilst learning about the life of the sixth Holy Imam?
In fact, one of the debates that the Imam had was with Abu Hanifa again, and his view was that evil and good is both from Allah, and that it has no impact on the will of the individual or the actions of the individual. And this was against the views of the Imam. And again, it was very interesting how such a view is still debated even up until now. That some people believe that any evil that happens is not because of the individual, but it's from Allah, so they have no role in it. And this contradicts the teachings of our Imams.
Right. And are there any scientific interesting debates that the Imam had during his lifetime? He, of course,
Yeah,
trained many students. We have Hisham that he trained. We have Abu Basir. And these were very well-known debaters and teachers, and they were the students of the Imam. But he himself, had he had any interesting scientific debates that have caught your attention?
there have been many different scientific issues that the Imam has mentioned, such as advice to mothers that how they should lie their babies on the left side. And it's interesting that only recently have the scientists discovered the reason for that and how it's related to a better sleeping position, or even how the earth rotates in its own axis. The first individual that actually mentioned this was Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, or even the four elements and how the discovery of the four main elements, the theories based on it. The physics, the chemistry, all of these were based on Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and he in fact helped the progression of science in itself.
Thank you. Sayyid, the right to lead the Ummah was usurped from the Imams after the demise of the Holy Prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Imams were marginalized to a large extent. Yet, as you both mentioned, that the Imam established the first university in Islam and disseminated the knowledge of the Holy Prophet. One other aspect of his life that I would like you to shed a bit more light upon is the fact his lineage. His mother was named Farwa bint Qasim, and she was the daughter of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. Now, a lot of the times, this is used to legitimize the Khilafah line of the following of the Khilafah. Does this give any kind of legitimization to marginalizing the Imams and following the Khilafah line?
Of course not, because if the Muslim Ummah followed the instructions and guideline given by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially the declaration that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made in the plains of Ghadir by raising the hand of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, and saying, Man kuntu mawlah fa Aliyun Mawlah, and introduced him in front of thousands of people. And according to narrations, the same Khulafa who kind of deviated from the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam were there, and they went forward and congratulated Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam for becoming their Mawla and Amir and leader. So, and not only this, if you look at the verses of Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before the incident of Ghadir, is telling Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you do not convey the message, you have not completed the mission. So this shows how important was and is leadership to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have not let Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam leave this world without solving this important issue. And that is why the way Allah addresses Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Holy Quran, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ فَمَا بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَتَهُ. If you do not convey the mission, you have not completed the mission. If you do not convey the message, you have not completed the mission. Unfortunately, they try to give different tafasir, and they merely try to reduce the completion of religion on halal and haram and few ahkam and rulings that were also given by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the most important point that Prophet Muhammad wanted to say and do, and he practically did it, was on in Ghadir, Yom al-Ghadir, at the plains of Ghadir, where he established a unique kind of member and stage. Uh, Again, if you look at it from psychological point of view, he was doing this all so the incident is remembered as a unique incident throughout the history, and he was trying to psychologically establish the memory in the minds of all those people who were present there, that this was a unique place, unique incident, unique stage, and unique message, and unique way of introducing the following successor. So he did his best, and Alhamdulillah, the Ja'fari faith and Isna Ashari faith is the result of that declaration.
Sure. I mean, nicely brings me to my next question to Sister Khadija, and it is how the Holy Sixth Imam connected us to the previous Imams, such as Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, and most importantly to the coming Imams, and especially the Imam of our age, Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. But before I come to you, Sister Khadija, Sayyid Muhammad, I still want a little bit more elaboration about my previous question that I asked. If you can enlighten us about Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, it's not a coincidence that his granddaughter would be chosen to become the mother of an Imam.
Yes.
Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, what was outstanding about his life, and how did he end up being on this side and leaving the Khilafah?
I mean, these kind of incidents have taken place in history of Islam, and some of those who disagreed with Prophet and Imams, later on their descendants and children totally disagreed with them and joined. And this has happened other way around as well. I mean, look at son of Hazrat Nuh. He did not listen to his father, who was a prophet, and he preferred to. So, and this itself also proves the Ja'fari point of view, as Sister Khadija was mentioning, that one of the points that Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam elaborated was to clarify this for that we I mean one of the disagreements that we have with them, they believe that we are forced to do everything. if we are forced, the meaning of the reward and punishment does not mean anything. According to their point of view, if those who killed Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, or Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, they were forced. So if they killed by force and they did not have any control, then why Allah would punish them? So similarly, we disagree with this point of view, and this also proves that we as a human being have freedom of choice. Allah does not force anyone. If إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. There's a verse of Holy Quran that Allah does not change people. People have to decide and change. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has clearly said, in Allah created jinn and ins with freedom of choice. They can
Sure.
choose to be on the right path, or they can choose to be on the wrong path. And if they choose to be on the right path, they will be rewarded. And if they choose to be on the wrong path, they will be punished. Whether they are son of a prophet or son of a enemy of Ahlebait doesn't make any difference.
Yes, there's something interesting that happened during the after the lifetime of Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, is that we had not only the birth of the four Sunni schools of thought, but we also had the division of the Ismailis as well. And that's
Yeah.
something interesting to ponder upon and to think as to how that affected the course and the trajectory of Islam and the Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Sister Khadijah, Imam Jafar al-Sadiq taught men. There are most of the ziyaras that we recite of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam have been narrated by Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam. But what would you shed some more light for us on how the Imam taught us to connect to the previous Imams, as well as his connection to the Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam?
Well, we have to understand that Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam was closely connected to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam and Imam Baqir alayhi salam, who both experienced they were there in the Battle of Karbala, and they witnessed everything, and all the information was given to them firsthand. And for this reason, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam really he really tried to optimize the mourning of Imam Hussain alayhi salam amongst his followers, his Shia followers. And another thing that is very interesting is that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam had a really he placed a lot of emphasis on the Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Faraj Sharif, where he said that lucky is the one that actually experiences the time of Imam Mahdi. And another hadith that he mentions is that the one that is ignorant of the Imam of their time, they will die the death of an ignorant person. So this says a lot to even us as Shias, that if you do not know the Imam of your time, there is a chance for you to fall in that category. And another thing that I would highly recommend everyone to do is to make sure that you remember the Imam of our time constantly, because that's what Imam Sadiq alayhi salam did. He remembered him so much that he said, if I was there at his time, I would serve him till my death. So this is in relation to Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Faraj Sharif. So his mission to clarify this belief that some had, that the Imam Mahdi does not exist or he is not born, is clearly evident in history. That he emphasized that if anyone was to believe in all of the Imams but disagree or reject Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Faraj Sharif, then it is the same as accepting all of the prophets and rejecting Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So all of these teachings tell us how important it is to be connected to the Imam of our time.
That's really interesting that you said the Imam, the sixth holy Imam, the divinely chosen and appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to lead the Muslims after Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. He himself said that if I was at the time of the 12th Imam, I would serve him. That's really interesting to know. So, this knowing the Imam, what does it mean, Sister Khadija?
Knowing the Imam is knowing that the Imam is infallible and that it is our duty to follow him. What does the Imam expect from us? Only through knowing what the Imam has done or the mission of the Imam can we actually accomplish what our Imams have asked us to um, apply in our
Sure,
lives.
sure. We are approaching the end of the program, so I think I will just pose one more question and then we will move to concluding remarks. Sayyid, the Imam was known for his knowledge, piety, and lineage, as you said. Yet he faced a lot of political turmoil. He was arrested on many occasions. He was being asked to represent him, to present before the authorities of the time. He was also asked to leave Medina on several occasions. Why was this happening?
Well, I mean, this battle existed from the day one of appointment of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. There were people who were greedy of power and they could not tolerate this. So they continuously plotted against the righteous leaders. So all Imams from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam onwards faced this kind of atrocity and difficulty from their those who opposed them. In some cases, if they couldn't defeat them, they kind of encouraged them to join with them and even gave promises of position to them. And Imams knew that these, or whether they signed a treaty like Imam Hassan Mushtaba alayhi salatu wasalam signed the treaty. Imam Hussain was forced to give his hands in allegiance, and he did not do that, and he was killed in the plains of Karbala. And then Imam Zain al-Abidin had also this kind of tough period of time and difficulty, and he concentrated on raising the standard of spiritual standard of the community, so the ground could be prepared for the knowledge, because Quran teaches us that first we need purification, then knowledge. Without purification, if knowledge is given, it may not lead us into the right direction. So Imam Zain al-Abidin worked in purification. Imam Muhammad Baqir opened the doors of knowledge. Imam Jafar Sadiq practically introduced the knowledge to the world. And there is a book published by Strasbourg University, and the title of the book is مغز متفکر جهان تشیع. The translation of that is that Imam Jafar Sadiq is the brain of the or intellectual piece of the Shia Muslim world. And if Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam did not exist, we would not have many things that we are aware of. Imam Jafar Sadiq used to say that we have only acquired 10% of the knowledge that is available. Unfortunately, we spend more of our time in entertainments and worldly desires, and ignore the knowledge and science that is available from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of us. And we should follow the path of Imam Jafar Sadiq, and we should increase our knowledge and awareness. And even those who oppose us, if they became open minded, they would not uh, create conflict with us, and they would agree with us.
That reminds me of a point you had made in earlier programs about how the sixth Imam had actually said that if he could force his followers لِيَتَفَقَّهُوا فِي الدِّينِ, that he was force them to go and learn the religious rulings and to in-depth understanding of the faith, then he would force them to do so. But
Right.
Sister Khadija, the Sayyid here talked about tazkiyah, purification of the soul. How can we achieve that from the teachings of the Imam, and what is the Imam's expectations of his followers in regards to their morality and character that we learn from the Holy Sixth Imam?
Um, we need to refer to the hadiths of the Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. One of the hadiths that the Imam mentions is كونوا دعاة للناس بغير ألسنتكم, which means it, invite others to basically the religion of Islam without your tongue. That has so much meaning into it. It means that the actions speak louder than words, in other words. And that's what the Imam expects us to do. That every single follower of the Ahlul Bayt are actually, they should spread the religion of Islam through their actions, and that their actions should be a symbol of the beauty of the Imam and not something that would make someone misunderstand what Shia is, what Islam is. So, for this reason, I think when we go through the hadith of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he encourages certain etiquettes, such as respecting your elders and being kind to your, to more vulnerable and younger individuals. And it is basically the key aspects that hold a society together, or even practicing honesty and truthfulness and trust, being a trustworthy individual, in which these are characteristics that are most encouraged within society. And in fact, in order to distinguish someone as a true Shia, is that that individual should have these characteristics and not just merely the apparent praying and the the religiousness that someone can display only by praying or fasting, but it's actually the true etiquettes and the way you treat others. So this says a lot that the Imam actually focused mostly on the true spiritual elements of individuals rather than just purely actions without any meaning.
On these fascinating notes that you just made there and the food for thought you've given us, Sister Khadija, I'd like to end the program. Sadly, we are out of time. It's nearly Maghrib time. Many thanks to both the honorable guests, Sayyid Muhammad Razavi and Sister Khadija Shirazi. I hope to see you again in a future program. Thank you so much, dear viewers, for joining us and listening. I leave you under the care and protection